is art, and the philosophy behind it and everything. And it's heavy reading. It's a lot to take in, and it's so, deep waters. But the whole thing of the difference between art, what's considered as art and what's crafts, that's ongoing. It's going to be going on for forever.
Yeah. J K Stewart Creative here talking to Tanja Is about art, and I've asked her to participate with the next poetry nights. So I'm going to back up, Tanja, and go back to that, and then we'll come back to this point if we can.
Yeah,
I know your time is valuable. By the way, you are an art administrator, and you also are an artist. How do you find the time?
I think it's a way of life. It's, if you're a baker, you might go to work and then come home and do different things. But if you're an artist, you do that all the time. You work on your pieces while you're sleeping, and then when you wake up, you start putting those pieces into something that shows. And you constantly work on it. So I have a day job, obviously, at the gallery, but then I work on my own projects when I'm not at the gallery. And sometimes, even though I'm at the gallery, I think of my own work. And that's why I think I was a shit waiter and a shitty at whatever I've done before, because my mind was always somewhere else. So I was writing post-its of things I would have to write or draw or whatever ideas, and I was always reading about something else on my coffee breaks, and so if your mind is constantly scattered and doing something else, you cannot really do other stuff well, because your heart's not there. So I think this gallery job is perfect because it's creative in a different way, and I get to interact with other artists, and that gives me inspiration. And someone is using a very specific technique that they might have invented, and I'm like, nice, tell me more. And so it's a constant process of learning also.
Yeah.
Plus that with this job, I actually have bettered my skills at promoting and doing exhibitions, curating art, and doing posters for art shows, and all this that you as an artist have to do, unless you are so wealthy that you could get someone to do it for you, but obviously I'm not there. So this also feeds me and my own work.
Yeah, on the notion of promoting yourself.
That's horrible.
Is it more difficult for you personally when you immediately said that's horrible? More difficult for you as an artist, as a person, as a Finn, as a woman?
I think everything mixed together. It's I don't like bringing myself up. I don't like to be in the spotlight.
Yeah.
And I like to talk about my work.
Yeah.
If I'm having an art show, I'm really happy when people ask me about my work and I get to talk to them about it. I dread having speeches. I absolutely hate that because it feels so formal. So I like more small, intimate gatherings and a dialogue rather than just having a monologue. But just marketing yourself, your art. As an artist, it's not about necessarily always your work. It's the combo of you. It's sometimes people buy an art piece not because of the art piece, but because you made it. Like I sold a piece of jewelry, like I said before, like a wearable object, which I like more using that word. And this woman who bought it from me, she was like, it's a nice piece, but I bought it because you made it. So you are basically a brand if you want it or not, but that's something that that you have to keep in mind. So obviously also when my work is highly personal, it feels like I'm selling pieces of myself when I sell my work.
Is it hard to let them go?
It's not hard to let them go, but it's sort of like, again, this marketing thing. It's like I would brag about myself, or like I don't know, it's kind of like a shame.
Yeah.
That you feel like you shouldn't be, but you need to
Yeah.
talk about that, because otherwise nobody's going to know that these pieces exist.
Yeah.
But yeah, putting yourself out there is kind of scary also, because everybody has an opinion, obviously. So.
Yeah. In asking you to consider doing poetry nights where you're participating in an event context, would that be a first for you, where you've actually been painting while other people watch you?
No, I've been in a lot of different events, you could say it like that, or my work has been presented in different contexts. I've done artist symposiums where you're kind of on display and people can see you work, and then the works are exhibited later at a gallery or an event. And I've had workshops, like people are open to come and go as they want. So basically that's kind of the same thing, though it's not. But for me, working doesn't have to be like sitting alone in my studio. It's like I work in very different ways, so it doesn't seem that foreign to me to participate in this event.
So it wouldn't be distracting for you?
No, not at all, not at all.
Would you be apt to start a piece, or just bring some existing works that you're working on and work on them or just start something fresh?
Yeah, I haven't really thought about that that much. I think I'm gonna bring some works that I've started on.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna have my stuff there, obviously, bring that with me, so I might start on something new as well.
Okay.
But sometimes it helps if you have something there that you already started on. So yeah, maybe that's my safety blanket. I'll just bring some.
I think I asked you that question without, again, reminding you of the title of the event, this being False Identities, and it being the middle of October. So I'm hoping that you find some pieces that you think might fit, or they don't necessarily have to fit.
Yeah.
But in any event, you said that is Halloween a favorite holiday of yours?
It is actually. Obviously I love Christmas also, Easter, but then again Easter also has, kind of the same aspects that Halloween does, but in a different way. But you have witches and you have all these weird, eggs and bunnies and so on. But Halloween is, I don't know, there's something very mystical about that. And then, my mom is from up north in Finland, so we celebrated All Hallows Eve, and so we actually spent 3 hours in a church where the priest would go through every single name of the person who died that year. And it was freezing cold in the church, and I was so upset that I couldn't go to a Halloween party at my friend's house. I was 12, I think, that year. But yeah, so I used to celebrate differently, but then when Halloween got to Finland, and my friend who I met when I was 12, she was from the States, she introduced me to this whole new world, and I was like, oh, this is nice. And not just with all the candy and decorations and everything, but then we have all the movies with Halloween themes. So yeah, it's a different world, but I think that the mythical aspect is something that you also see in my work. Like I've been so many years, ever since I was a kid, I was obsessed with what happens after we die, and about all these spirits and the veil between worlds and so on. And that sort of grew stronger as I grew older.
Yeah.
And then when I finally started using it in my art, it was so nice because it was my way of communicating and thinking about these things through art. So yeah, and though my themes in my work have varied a bit, they are still, like, the essence is in that mythical aspect, the mystics, and the unseen, and maybe something out of the norm, odd. So yeah, definitely Halloween speaks to me.
Animals seem to take on a human aspect in some of your work. I've seen.
Yeah, they fuse in quite a lot.
Yeah.
And yeah, and there are many reasons why I like to fuse humans with animals, but maybe also partly is like they're not necessarily, well, they are self-portraits. We could say that they're self-portraits, but there could be other characters in there from my family that I usually then might add a tail or an animal head to. But I've always felt that we are leveled exactly on the same line with animals. Like, I don't see as humans as creatures that are above, that we are ruling the world. I see it more from I mean, you could say, like, a lot of tribal people, a lot of indigenous people have the belief of everything being connected, everything sharing the same breath. So basically, I believe in that too, and that's why for me, it's like emphasizing that we are one, and the connectivity. Plus that I always feel like we have to accept our shadow self, like we have the darkness in us, and that can sometimes I can use mythical creatures to underline that, to bring that forth in my pieces or stories. But yeah, and the wolf is quite constant in my
Yeah, I've
work.
noticed the wolf. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's also because I think the wolf, especially in Finland, is a very misunderstood creature and seen as a predator, whereas wolves are super wise and they have a lot of skills that if we people would master those skills, we wouldn't have any problems. I mean, and people think that, oh no, wolves have a hierarchy, there's the alpha male and the alpha female, but that's not true. Like, the weak, they walk first in the pack. They set the pace, and the strong follow behind so that nobody is left behind. I mean, they are so wise and kind, and they take care of each other. And I just see humans as, you know, like, sometimes I feel embarrassed and nauseous of being a human, because I think that we are vicious and horrible species, and that the world would be better off if we didn't exist. But in the same time, we are part of this world, and I think we would, if we listened to plants and trees and all these other creatures, we would feel so much better. So I think my art is keeping me sane, because I can communicate these feelings and thoughts with myself through that and with those pieces. And then maybe when people buy my pieces, they get a piece of that wisdom or that sense, or something might shift in them at some point. Or they might just see something nice. I don't know, but for me it's like a small consolation that maybe a seed is put out there and something can grow from that. So yeah, I definitely think that like, most of all, I'm a storyteller, but in a visual sense.
I'm glad you segued into using that term storyteller, because for me, and as an aspect of Poetry Nights in Ekenäs, false identities is my opportunity to try to offer people a venue that is focused on unmasking yourself. And so you spoke about that, and addressing the downside of oneself, either as a human or as a part of their personality.
Yeah.
So even though it wasn't so much the Halloween aspect that inspired me, it was knowing that we are one, immersed in the harvest season, one of my favorite seasons, color-wise, mood-wise,
Yeah.
and a changing of the season,
Yeah.
and also the Halloween offering mask as a subject matter.
Yeah.
So I'm going to turn off this video, but has anyone ever caught you in the stream like that?
No.
Isn't that great?
So.
J K Stewart Creative here speaking with Tanja Is. And what's the name of this gallery we're at?
Fotocentrum Raseborg.
Wow, Fotocentrum Raseborg. I remember at the meeting when you were proposing, or the committee then was trying to come up with a new name that reflected it.
We just stuck with this, like the original name. Like getting another name for the gallery, that was a fun idea, and I mean we tried it, but that would confuse people. So now we're Fotocentrum Raseborg, and that's like, it's simple and specific, so no more confusion.
Look forward to seeing you. I hope we don't have to change the date. I'm going to confirm it with Anne. We'll be at Cafe Chefbeck in Ekenäs on the 15th of October. Thanks, Tanja.